Hey everyone, welcome to the Network Effect, the show where we explore how relationships, communities, and connections drive innovation and impact. I'm Amy Henderson, VP of Client Relations at Channelnomics, and I'm so glad you're here. Each week, we'll sit down with a guest who's building something remarkable and unpack the people, ideas, and moments that help get them there. Today's guest is Kevin Dean, President and CEO of ManoByte, a digital transformation agency he founded in 2007. With a background in corporate leadership and a passion for entrepreneurship, Kevin left the corporate world to build a company focused on helping businesses grow through demand generation, marketing, and sales enablement. His leadership is rooted in strong work ethic and a desire to create meaningful results for his clients. ManoByte is a Grand Rapids-based agency specializing in AI strategy, HubSpot solutions, and business process automation. As a platinum HubSpot user, or partner rather, ManoByte helps companies optimize their sales, marketing, and customer service operations through intelligent automation and seamless system integration. Our topic today is deal registration essentials. We'll explore how technology is reshaping deal registration trends, what that means for sales leaders, and how both new and seasoned sales professionals can adapt to thrive in this evolving landscape. Kevin, how are you, my friend?
Oh, Amy, I am doing fantastic. It's good to see you. Glad to have this conversation today.
I am so excited, and I'm loving your background. Is that real or is that a screensaver?
No, this is the backyard of my house. So I'm just sitting out on the lanai, enjoying a beautiful day here in Tampa, Florida.
Oh my gosh, that looks like an amazing view to wake up to every day. I myself have the mountains in the background, but it's a little too bright in the day right now for me to open my curtains. But maybe on a cloudy day, I'll be able to have a background with a little more scenery. But
Oh man, it's so good like for the soul to have a view that you can enjoy. It just makes those days when you're out there, doing the grind just so much better. So, yeah.
it just makes it so much better when my dog wakes me up at 5:30 in the morning to go out and have his breakfast, seeing just a beautiful sunrise over the mountains, right?
Oh man, that's awesome. That's really good.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining today. I was really excited to have this conversation. But before we kick things off with the somewhat serious stuff, I wanted to ask you sort of a little bit of a curveball question, if you
Let's
will.
do it. Let's do it.
Okay, so if you were to go back to your younger self, right, before 2007, before leaving the corporate world to start this exciting new venture of Manobyte, what is the one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
Oh man, that is a great question.
Told you it would be a curveball.
And so I got into this because of the love of solving problems and wanting to be able to help businesses, um, right? And and while, for school, you learn a lot of different things from on the business side, which are great. But I probably would have told myself to really double down on the accounting side, right? What I mean by that is, um, in order to do great work, you've got to make sure that the business is really fundamentally sound, right? And ours is, but I think I would have been better on for me to understand all the things like what's the customer acquisition cost, what's the return on ad spend, all those things that I've learned over the years. It would have been great for me to have known all of that early on and to have built my engine around that earlier. And so those are just lessons that I learned. But I think I would have told myself is to don't skip the math and the accounting piece, right? They're super, super critical and super important.
And it's so interesting where it's just the basic fundamentals piece, especially when starting a new business. You think about strategy and innovation and all of these exciting things, but sometimes, just the bare bones, foundational elements, can be taxing as well. And so that's awesome advice for really anyone looking to start their own venture and enter into entrepreneurship. So. That's awesome. Well, let's talk about deal registration essentials because you are in the business of helping companies innovate through sales and enablement, through marketing automation, through AI, right? And all of the things that goes with keeping a company afloat in terms of keeping the revenue going, right? And
Yep.
when you think about deal registration, we're seeing so much technology evolving right now, and it trickles down from sales leadership to seasoned sales professionals to new folks coming into sales for the first time, for partners and the processes with vendors that we see in terms of how they do deal registration. So my question to you would be, in your world, how are you uh, defining deal registration and what trends are you seeing that immediately come to mind?
Yeah, so this is a great topic, right? And it's an important topic. And deal registration causes so much friction on both sides of the fence, right? And so what needs to happen is deal registration needs to be simple, clear, and transparent. Like those are what I think are the three core elements to being successful with deal reg, because a lot of times it's not, right. There's a lot of steps that a partner may have to go through in order to register a deal, right? And then once the deal is registered, only to find out that there's tons of conflicts, right? Because it's not managed properly on the vendor side. And so that causes a lot of challenges on both sides of the fence. So whenever it's a simple process, whenever it's clear, and whenever the rules are transparent, I think everybody feels good about it. And I think that's where things need to go. And what I'm excited about from a trend perspective is how AI can help with deal reg, because I believe now a lot of um, vendors are thinking about uh, simplifying the deal reg process using AI. I'm hearing about how through email and other tools, it's happening so that one, partners don't have to necessarily log into 5 different portals in order to do their deal reg, right? And there's other tools out there that kind of make that process simpler. But that's my viewpoint on how deal reg is a big challenge that really needs to be addressed and how you might think about it.
Yeah, it's interesting, the point that you made earlier. We work with a lot of organizations who hear from their partners, and the top three things that their partners are asking for in terms of, hey, if you want to do business with us, we need three things. And it all comes down to less friction, more transparency, and better routes to market. And I think that if you have a very seamless, easy deal registration system where you're not having to log in as a partner to 5 different vendor portals just to do, one activity, if you can make it easier and seamless, I think they'll do it more, but also give them the assurance of their protection in that deal, because we all face, the elephant in the room that is channel conflict, right? And when a partner registers that deal, sometimes, excuse me, they feel that there is a certain amount of risk if they aren't assured that that is protected. So how do you think the technology innovation in terms of AI is reshaping the way that partners and vendors are going to market with deal registration to, one, remove friction and provide the transparency that their deal is being protected and that they are opening those better routes to market?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're starting to see is a lot of the friction is being taken away by AI, right? And so it's making it easier and simpler for our partners to get the deal registered. But also, I'm seeing how AI is being used to manage conflict as well, right? So being able to surface when there are potential conflicts and making sure that it's transparently known and seen, right? Is this a, best partner wins type of situation, right? And making sure that all of that is clear. We're seeing AI being able to handle a lot of that. And agents, we're not seeing a lot of it yet, but what I am hoping is that agents will become a better role, take a bigger role in streamlining the registration process. But we're not seeing it yet. I think a lot of companies are still relying on the technologies in their old partner portals that haven't been updated and the processes haven't changed because I think what's important for people to realize that it's not just about the technology, it's about the processes too, right? And so those two things have to line up. And I think that's where some of the slowdown is happening because the technology is there to simplify it, but companies haven't modified their processes to adjust for it yet.
And it's really interesting that you mentioned partner portals. I mean, I came from that world and it's still very much relevant today. But when you think about a portal, I think a lot of companies make the mistake of thinking that the partner lives there, right? A lot of it, if they build it, they will come and they'll stay there and they'll just live in the portal. But really, a portal should just be looked at as a stopping point, right? They'll hop over there for a second when they need to do something and then they move on. So when you're working with organizations that are trying to evolve their strategies through smoother sales enablement, through seamless integrations with, HubSpot, for example, when they want more marketing automation, all of these things, how do you see portals and AI and everything just kind of making it more seamless for partners to be able to log into less systems? And also, where do you see technology evolving outside of portals when you think about AI innovation and the partners landscape of things?
Yeah, so this is a great question, and I'm not going to give you the politically correct answer. I think we need to talk about what's coming, right?
Mhm.
Disruption, right?
Yeah.
Disruption is coming, right? And it's coming faster than a lot of people think. And what AI and agents are going to be able to do is to completely eliminate the need for portals. I
Mm.
believe that those will go away super fast, right? Because there's really no need, right? Because companies, providers, partners, they don't have time to log into a company's portal, nor are they interested in it. The only thing that they're doing with the portal is they're going in and they're registering the deals so that they can check their commissions so that they can get paid, right? That's all that they care about. That's all that they care about. And that's the only reason that they're really going there. And so AI agents will eliminate the need, right? And it's going to make it easier. And I think there's new playbooks that are being written for vendors, providers that makes it simpler and easier so that everybody can win together, right? I think those who lose are a lot of the PRM companies, right? Um, I think they have to start thinking about, yeah, I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of things that are coming that are changing the game significantly, um, because the needs that were being provided no longer are really needs. People are holding on to them because of fear of change and risk, and it takes time for big ships to move, but it's gonna go pretty quickly.
I keep thinking about, speaking of 2007, when you ventured to create
Hmm.
ManoByte, I keep thinking of the people at Research in Motion sitting there watching Steve Jobs on stage pull the iPhone out of his back pocket. We were
Yep.
all there for that moment. And that was such an acute disruption in the smartphone space, right? And I think that the AI and AI agents and the deal registration and sales motions are going to be so disruptive, and we see it on the horizon as a comet, coming through. And I think that if you are a company that has a channel automation technology that isn't paying attention to that and anticipating that and adopting it, I think that you're going to be in real trouble. So, what advice would Kevin Dean give to these companies? Is it more of, hey, create, open AI agents within your platform, be more agnostic? What advice would you give?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things that companies need to do, right? From a technology standpoint, I don't feel like investing in agents is the way to go for a lot of companies. And let me explain that. Um, the reason I don't think that it's worth investing is because we're going to get to a time where every person on the planet will be able to create their own agents to be able to do whatever they want and need for it to do, however they want to do it, right? So what I think a lot of companies need to do is to invest in MCP servers, right? And so these are servers that allow access to certain key functionality within the organization, and then open these up to agents so that people can interact with them. And I was listening to um, Satya from Microsoft talk about, you know, yes, we're in this age where things are changing, and a lot of companies, I believe, will charge for access to their MCP servers, right? Or have certain rules that are required in order for you to gain access to those servers. And so I think that's, if I'm looking out, I think that's where the real value is going to be, is exposing to agents capabilities through your MCP servers. And I think that is what's going to happen. So
Mm.
for listeners who don't know, that stands for Model Context Protocol, and that's kind of a wrapper around APIs that allow agents to have access to multiple tools, right? And the more that those become available, the more that it's going to be required, right? Customers and people are going to demand that every organization open them up, just like with APIs. It's a de facto standard, and people expect for companies to open them up. And I believe that's going to be the same thing with MCP servers. And it's the functionality that you expose that will give you competitive advantage.
Interesting. And I was just about to ask you what that stood for. I was about to Google it behind the scenes. I'm glad you explained that. So when thinking about, okay, here, this is the consequence and the best advice for the provider's perspective. What are some things to look out for, and what are some things to adopt to protect yourself in this changing landscape? What do you see from the vendor perspective, right? So ManoByte helps tons of organizations,
We do.
right, with sales enablement, marketing automation. And so what are some things that you see? What advice would you say for the vendor? What are some things that they should be looking at? What are some pitfalls that they need to avoid? And what advice would you give at the vendor level for adopting this new technology disruption, to steal your words?
Yeah. So I think that now's the time for companies to reevaluate their strategy and where they add value and how they want their provide partners to provide value in the future, right? because what this means is that you may need to change the type of partner that you actually go after. So the partners that you have today may not be the partners that you need in the future. And I think that's where they need to strategically look at who are my future partners? Who do they need to be? Because a lot of the things that you know you could have done from a go-to-market strategy that you absolutely had to have partners to do, you might be able to strategically do a lot of that on your own without going through partners. So you can still reach multiple markets, personalize, and provide a lot of value in ways that you probably only could do through a partner. So strategically rethink what your partner of the future looks like. I think that's where you need to focus, and then focus on providing AI driven tools for your partner of the future.
That's so interesting that you said thinking about the partnerships that you're working with now may not be the partnerships you need to work with in the future. So thinking about what that future state of a partnership looks like, and then once you find that ideal future partner profile, then you got to go target them. You got to
Yep.
attract them. You got to get them to turn their heads towards you as a vendor and convince them that you're easy to work with. They're going to make money with you, and it's going to be a seamless process. So to that end, uh, let's take it from the partner's perspective. If I'm a partner interested in working with a vendor, what are some things that I am looking for in terms of deal registration processes? What am I asking for? What are my requirements? What do I need outside of the obvious? How do I make money? Are you easy to do business with? So on and so forth. From just a tactical process and technology standpoint, what are some things that you're seeing out there for the future partner, for the new type of partner coming around?
Yeah, I think everybody is thinking, are you an AI forward company?
Mm,
Right. And so you're looking at the technology, the enablement tools that the company that you're looking at to partner with can provide to you. I think that's the number one thing is like, where are they? What does their roadmap look like? Because that roadmap is going to determine longevity, right? Because, you know, everybody has their view, right? On what this future of business looks like. But it is going to be fundamentally different from the way that it is today. Just like, you mentioned the iPhone, right? Uh, Companies who sold Walkman are no longer in existence, right? They just don't exist, right? And so you can try to hang on to the old way, but the new way is here. And so I think what you're looking for are those who have a roadmap for the future that is AI forward, right? And those organizations who are providing you with um, tools to be AI competent, or you're looking for partners who are going to provide you with education, right? And that can provide you with support as you're going out and supporting customers.
interesting. Well, I have another philosophical, maybe a curveball question for you. I asked you earlier, what would you go back and tell, your younger self, right? 19
Yep.
years ago, if I'm doing that math correctly. There are a lot of entrepreneurs like yourself out there that are looking to start their own companies. There's also a next generation, I feel like, of channel leaders coming on the horizon as well, right? And what would you give to either someone who is an entrepreneur like yourself wanting to start their own company that is going to have a channel route to market,
Yep.
organization? And what advice would you give to a newer channel leader, recent in their roles, who is maybe developing or reshaping their channel strategy when it comes not only to sales automation through the channel, but just on overall in general? What advice would you give?
Yeah, I think to the individual who's starting a channel-based company, I would say um, be selective about picking the partners that you're going to choose, right? And pick your direction, right? And be very focused on that, right? So that's the advice that I would give to them. To channel leaders, um, I would say learn two things, right? I got a lot. I got some thoughts for channel leaders. Number one, channel leaders need to know how to balance two things, right? They need to know how to balance risk and reward, right? So understand, okay, in order to uh, get my wins, I need to be thinking progressively about the future and what that needs to be. At the same time, I've got to be very cautious about compliance, about governance, about security, about all these other things, right? So it's a really, you've got to be a balanced leader, right? And know how to and when to push on the right levers to get accomplished what you need to accomplish.
Well, that is great advice for both, a new business owner and also a channel leader. And I think that a lot of folks out there are going to really want to hear and hone in on that advice. So thank you. Well, Kevin, this has been an amazing conversation and an amazing discussion. I think it's a topic that more people need to have. So thank you so much for having it with me. Um, and I've got a fun closing question for you
Oh,
that
tell me,
is
bring it on.
completely unrelated. So I always like to have an icebreaker, but I also like to have just a fun closing question because we all know that our day to day is a grind, right? I
It
mean,
is. It
it's,
is.
deal registration processes and setting up the right structures for your program and all the things that come with keeping a company and a business afloat. But I think that when you're in that daily grind, it's so important to have sort of that daily serotonin boost, right? Something
Mhm.
that makes you giggle, something that makes you happy, something that just relaxes you, that just puts a smile on your face. So, what are some things that you're watching, reading, listening to that is just giving you that daily spark, that daily joy that folks might be able to check out? Like I'll give you one. I'll give you an
I,
example just to
okay,
help
tell
you
me,
go.
tell me.
So the Jiminy Glick YouTube videos from Martin Short, have you seen those?
Oh my goodness.
I watch him almost on a daily basis. Whenever I'm feeling stressed or I'm feeling just, maybe a little blue or anytime I need that serotonin boost, I will put on Jiminy Glick and watch an interview. There was one he did with Bill Hader that is hysterical. He had him laughing so much. So that's where I go for my daily boost of
Your daily
laughter.
boost. That's awesome. So there's a couple. So I'll tell you what I've been doing for my daily boost recently is we have been watching The Masked Singer. So that has been
Wow.
just so fun and funny just to just watch a little snippet of that. Just, it's funny to watch, these people dress up in, these costumes who from lots of different other areas and they're just singing and you didn't know they can sing or they really can't sing. And it's just kind of fun to try to guess like, oh, who is this behind the mask who's singing? So that's kind of been fun for me.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I've seen previews for it, but I'm gonna need to stream that and check it out.
It
So
is. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Just a little goofy thing that you can do to enjoy. It's funny.
oh, great. Well, Kevin, thank you so much again for being here. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We're so great to have you. Join us next time. Again, check out Manobyte on our site. We'll have a review of them. So be sure to check us out at channelnomics.com and we will talk with you next time.
Thanks, Amy. This has been great. Talk to you soon.
Thank you again to Kevin Dean of ManoByte for joining us today. Kevin, I know your insights on deal registration and partner enablement were incredibly valuable, and I know our listeners will walk away with a lot to think about today. To everyone tuning in, thanks for spending time with us on the Network Effect. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with a colleague, leaving a review, or following us on LinkedIn and on the socials to stay in the loop on future conversations. Until next time, keep building, keep connecting.